First things first. I haven't watched it, but did you watch the UFC?
The UFC or the Jake Paul
I
fucking
didn't watch
time?
that. No, I've got no time for that. I've got
No,
Well,
I
no.
haven't watched Chandler Oliveira and I haven't watched Jones Stipe yet. No, I watched the highlights of the other ones, but no, apparently Stipe was slow and old.
Do you know when you watch the build-up, and I don't watch that much of it anymore on YouTube. You know, you used to watch that countdown series and all of that. I kind of watched a couple or listened to a couple, and I kind of started to think, actually, he's not shaking his hand. He's being a bit disrespectful. This might actually come back to bite him on the ass. For a second, I doubted John Jones again, and then I realised there was a dick.
I think everyone did.
Yeah.
I think everyone did because he doesn't look in shape at all. Like you're only comparing him to when he was. You're only comparing him to when he was like heavyweight, and he looked in shape, but he looked old when he was walking around. Like old men kind of waddle a little bit, kind of like Tyson. He kind of waddles, doesn't he? Jones did a little bit, and I was like, oh, but then apparently he just
picked him off.
It's the IQ, isn't it? It's not. He makes up for he definitely slowed down. But the fight IQ makes up for it, doesn't it? I think he's won fights every which way you can possibly win fights.
Yeah.
From head kicks to not many people win a fight like that, do they?
I was more looking forward to the Oliveira fight, if I'm honest.
Apparently that was amazing.
It's like that fucking Tyson and Finger card. Apparently the Katie Taylor and Serrano fight was unreal.
Oh, I watched the highlights of that. That was brutal.
Did she get away with one there?
I don't know. I only watched like short clips, highlights, like because they clashed heads and Serrano got a huge gash. It was definitely close, but they were just pounding there of each other.
Girls are brutal, you know. Girls are fucking brutal.
Because Serrano's a heavy hitter, but Katie's like quicker and more volume, it seems like. But they were just landing everything. It was like, fuck. It's insane.
Stop.
But they needed that, didn't they? Because you knew the main event was going to be the way it was.
Dog shit.
I haven't watched that, but...
Have you seen... I've just seen this morning that Darren Till's agreed to fight Thingy Fury, what's it called? Tommy Fury, in a boxing.
Boxing is shit, innit? Boxing is shit.
It's gone shit, yeah.
Ugh, it's a joke.
Right, come on then. Who's asking first one?
I'll go. It's a heavy one.
Who's answering it?
I don't want a heavy one today. All right. Not in that place.
And you answer it. And then I don't mind answering it, but what's been your most challenging moment and rewarding moment this year, and what did you learn?
Wow.
You got 5 minutes, by the way.
This question is the most I'm joking. Right. I'm going to start with the most rewarding. I think the targets and goals that we'd set as a business in November, December last year, we'd achieved about September this year. So, and that's not just financial, that was bringing some in, because that was always the first person that we were going to approach. That was 2 months ahead of where it should have been.
Don't tell a lie, she was the last. Don't tell a lie.
No one else was available when you came to me.
Yeah, so on that side of things, I'm really proud of that. So that's really rewarding. The other rewarding thing is that we've done that and I've not breached my boundaries, but that's the most challenging thing. What I've found is the most challenging thing this year is that I'm so strict with my boundaries because I don't want to miss time with my kids growing up and with them being kids, because I did that so wrong with Lexi when she was in the first 3-4 years old. I'm so set and strict on them boundaries that it's definitely created some real challenges for me mentally, physically. Probably for about 3 to 6 months. No, not 6 months. Probably from March to recently, I've battled with that in regards to I don't like letting standards slip, but they've definitely slipped a little bit. In terms of volume of work, I wasn't getting through things, or haven't been as fast as I should have been. And it's definitely had a bit of an impact, because naturally we've got a lot busier, and we're getting busier. I'm still not to drop them boundaries. So some things I've had to adapt and being in a constant fight with myself on shit, you're letting standards slip, you wouldn't accept this, you haven't done this before, or things are a little bit slower. So that's been a real challenge for me. Mentally. And then when I've then adapted, then physically I've probably then not been able to get out as much in regards to walks, runs, training, stuff like that. So that's been a real fucking challenge. And I'm hopefully, touch wood, obviously the Sky coming in and helping, I'm getting to the end of this now. But yeah, I'd say the last 3 to 6 months have been a real mental and physical challenge because of that. But on the flip side of it, what I'm really proud of is that I'm sticking to them boundaries, but I need to still find a way, quite a bit of it. So yeah, that's been tough. Fucking deep one early, that, wasn't it? Jesus Christ. Who am I going to? I'll go to Nick, and then Nick can go to Sky. I might have missed the question though. Who's the next one on? Is it
Nathan?
Right. Struggling for podcasts ideas. I've already gone through check-ins and pre-consult forms. Where do you think would be best to get more ideas?
I think, first of all, clients. I think recognizing the conversations you have with clients and also observations as well. I think those are two really good places to be, because it's going to be factual, but it's also going to be story based as well.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that would be the first go-to. I think also dipping into certain groups as well, for positive and negative point of view as well, like UK PTs, what are PTs saying, where are your clients hanging out online, what pages are they following, what groups are they a part of. Being a part of that environment will also spark some conversations, some content and some ideas and some points of view and whatnot. So I would say those places as well would probably be the next points. Yeah.
I would also say, like, look at trends, like what is being spoken about. There's always something that's getting a lot of attention more than other things. If you're confident to speak about those are things that you speak about. But another thing that I do is, what podcasts am I listening to? Because I'm generally listening to something that's not related to fitness. It's probably true crime, or I'm listening to something even nutritional fitness based, and I might just take some of the things that I've learned that I didn't already know and then talk about those.
You talk about your crew trial.
I do actually sometimes.
Which ones?
I recently listened to Jack the Ripper. I've listened to a lot of them are in Ireland. There's lots of murders, lots of famous murders. Most of them are in America, to be honest.
You know, I've got back into it lately. Is Rogan.
Have you listened to him and Trump?
Oh, I've just getting to the end of Elon Musk.
Oh yeah, go straight to his bezzy after that then.
Yeah. Right, yeah, I haven't listened to it for years, and I just I don't know. I think I got sick. You know, when you get to points where you're sick of fitness podcasts.
Yeah, that's why I listen to true crime, because I'm fucked up, but also because it takes my mind off of fitness and nutrition.
You know what else is really good is Ollie Marchon's.
Oh yeah, I do like it.
He's had some cracking guests on, and he's a really good interviewer as well.
That I listened to that one on the way to Everton the other night and back. You know, Thingy Mallet.
Yeah, Tommy Mallet.
Yeah.
Tommy Mallet.
Yeah, and I've never been interested in all of that shite. You know, like fucking reality TV, like Towie and all of that type of stuff. I genuinely haven't. But every time I've seen him on something, he's always intrigued me. Like the way he works and stuff like that, and what he's done. And I thought he'd come across really well. And he has had a few really good guests on that, to be fair. That's the only fitness podcast or related to fitness I listen to anymore. I don't know that many. It's why I put in the group the other week, like who's listening to what, because I genuinely don't know what's out there. Because ours is the best, if I'm honest. So it's no fun listening to anyone else's.
What else there's to listen to?
Exactly. I don't know whose question it is.
And who am I asking?
Sky.
When it comes to email marketing, what examples can you give for setting an upcoming journey for a new subscriber?
This is a difficult one because I don't do that. I don't have a journey. Someone subscribes, they're just getting the next email that I send. But if I was going to, Probably send a bit of an email outlining what to expect. Probably ask them to interact or reply to the emails, or yeah, I think that would be it really. Maybe give them a way in which they could like this, submit their own kind of, oh, I'm interested in this topic, or could you talk about this. Yeah, I don't really have any examples for new subscribers. It's a bit different to a new client, isn't it? Maybe just what to expect, what they're going to get from being on the email list. Extra things you can do to keep online clients as engaged as face-to-face. What an interesting question.
I think first and foremost, you have to present that to the client. Not that I expect you to be disengaged. So how can we keep you engaged? Present to the client in regards to, obviously, with you not seeing them, how best can we create accountability for you, or how best can you create it for yourself? How best should we communicate with each other? And then what things do you feel will keep you motivated during our time together, especially within the first month or two, right? So I think first and foremost, you have to when you sit down with a client, you have to explore them avenues with them first, because there's many online coaches out there that throw the kitchen sink at the majority of their clients. Nick, your thing's echoing for some reason, and I don't want to hear me twice. Yeah, that they access 20% of it. So I think in regards to extra things, what I wouldn't do is throw the kitchen sink at each client and then just because you've got extra features, expect them to use them. So I would always start with how best should we communicate to each other? How best can we keep you engaged? How best can we keep you accountable? How best can we keep you motivated? Have them conversations, because I'm sure the majority of the clients that you have online might have had coaches in the past that have gone through certain things where they've gone, actually, this was a strength of mine. I did it really well. And actually I did this really badly. So I need some support with this. So explore that first. But in terms of extra other things, like look at the different ways that you can deliver your check-ins in regards to, is it a conversation on Zoom? So actually, do you have a call every week, every other week, every month? The different variations in how you communicate your check-ins, the reviews and goal setting. Do you have a call to go through that? Is there an opportunity for you to build some levels of education into your service that is relevant and specific to the type of client that you have in? And you can signpost them to them people as they come in. But if we're talking engagement, that's normally motivation, it's normally adherence, it's normally basically feeling like there is some level of connection there, even from a distance. And I think that's got to be created with the individual. The more you do that, the more you'll build out even more features to your service that are relevant and specific to them. My last point on this is sometimes we can overthink how engaged you need a person to be. And I think if you have them conversations at the start that are personal, that I've just mentioned, it will remove the insecurity that you're not doing enough potentially for them.
Just to add really quickly, something that I do is give them an option at the end of their weekly reflection. So how do you want feedback? Do you want to book a call? Do you want me to voice note you on WhatsApp? Or do you want written feedback in an email? So they always have the choice, that they know that it can be different based on what they need. Some of them will be like, you know what, don't need a call, give me written feedback. Some will want that call. And then in between that, obviously checking in with them. I always check in before the weekend, because usually people get the feedback on a Monday and then it's a long week. So again, checking in with them and just saying, like, is there anything I can help you with? Anything I can support you with before the weekend? Seems to work really well if you give people the option.
There's so much that you could do, but how much of it is relevant to the person?
Yeah,
very much
exactly.
depends on how much you listen to the specific problems that they have. Like I got asked last week, and this is quite a common question: should I get my clients who are online to send me form check videos and stuff like that? And I was like, well, you could do, but it very much depends on A, is that something that the client is worried about? B, does the program need that? Do they want that feedback? So I'm not sitting on the fence. I'm saying you could have all of these bells and whistles, and you could build all of them and guide people to them, which is great. But also, like I said before, sometimes you only need 10 to 20% of it. So yeah. Nick, should I get deposits from clients who aren't joining till later this month? Later in the month, should I say?
Yes, you should.
Go on then. How much of a deposit?
I would go for about 20% of the monthly fee. I think it's enough to generate the commitment, but not too much that it will put people off. So yeah, I think it keeps the scarcity there. I think it keeps the urgency there. I think it keeps the commitment still there, but it's not obviously going to overcomplicate things, and they feel like they're not getting something that they've just paid for as well. So yeah, I would say about 20% of the monthly fee. I like my short questions today. Next one. What are the general distractions, barriers clients generally face over the coming 6 weeks from your experience?
For my clients, I think it's very confronting for some of them in terms of their relationship with food. I think people are faced with a lot of social occasions, a lot of eating out, a lot of different foods, obviously a lot more kind of highly palatable, calorie dense, all the sweet and good stuff. For me, sometimes December's like a really busy month. I remember the past 2 years of December, maybe it's part of my marketing, but December was like one of my busiest months for getting new clients. And I think it's because people are faced with the fact that I haven't done the work this year, and now I'm faced with all this social stuff. I don't know how to manage the feelings that I get from eating the way that I do. I think for other people, it's just general consistency. It's colder, it's darker. People, especially women, like for me, I won't run now in the evenings. Like I just won't. So now it's like changing my routine to reflect that. Okay, if I'm not going to run in the evenings, what am I going to do in the evenings, and where will I put my running? So I think it's changing your routine or adapting your routine, staying consistent when you probably just want to stay in bed or stay inside. So yeah, I think it's general. People find it hard. I think they expect that they're going to have the same routine in December that every other month. For some people, they will. My routine doesn't massively change. But I think for other people, they struggle to find a bit of a happy medium where things are a bit different. There are more social occasions, but they also do have some intentions each week. Yeah, I think that's probably it. Right. People have not got a lot of questions this week. Okay. What is the best way to create productive time in your calendar and actually stick to it without being distracted?
List the things that distract you. Like, as soon as you find something that distracts you, list it down, or write it down and go, right, how can I make sure that doesn't work again? I'll give you an example of this, right? One of my biggest distractions is let's say I've got a work block. Let's say that work block is creating content for 2 hours, and I'll stick my phone on Do Not Disturb, move it out of the way. And then there'll be something that comes up in my head that goes, check that, which relates to the task. And then I'll be like, open my phone, and then 20 minutes later, I'm somewhere else. And I'm like, how the fuck have I ended up here? So my point being on that is that one of my things is that when you are in a strict work block is then make sure that you can access all of your work from your laptop, that you don't need your phone, because the biggest distraction is your phone, 100% for most people. So I would list the distractions. Like, the only other things that come to mind that we've discussed with others is like being hungry, getting food, all of that. But that maybe just plan that in as micro management goes. Like, sometimes you have to do that. But for me, I think give yourself a checklist of things of going, is that work block at the right time for you? So let's say, for argument's sake, you've just done 3 hours worth of coaching, then you've got to sit down and start to think about creating ideas for content. Is that at the right time? If not, do you need to switch that up slightly? So I would look at that. I would look at the potential environment kind of distractions. So say, for argument's sake, I don't know, that you're working out of your gym and the Wi-Fi shit in your gym, and you put a work block in there for an hour or two, and that could be really distracting because it's not working. You can give it up, right? We'll change and switch that up. But I think the biggest bit of advice to commit to it is probably be an adult and fucking know that you're fucking working, and it's tough shit at points that you need to turn up and do the shit. And whatever them distractions, as long as you're aware of them, you can remove them, and you can always work around it. So like, as I said, if I'm in that work block now, this is on Do Not Disturb, and anything I access. So if I have to go on Instagram for something to look to a post for last year of how I worded something, I'm doing it on my laptop. I'm not doing it on my phone. If I need to go in to find, I don't know, some check-ins that normally I'd access on my phone, nope, I'm doing it on my laptop. So if it's the phone, get it out of your way, remove it, and don't allow yourself to touch it in that time. If it's food, plan it in. I can't think of anything else of what it would be apart from environment stuff, and I've just gone through that. Anything you'd add to that? I know that's really harsh advice of being an adult, but sometimes you just fucking gotta be an adult. Do you know what I mean?
I think that's right, but I actually follow a few neuroscientists because I'm fascinated by this stuff. Especially, there's one, I think she's called Nicole, and she talks a lot about phones and the brain, but like not in a negative way, in quite a like positive way of like phones and technology is amazing, but it is changing the way that we behave and we pick up certain habits. Not that we're addicted to them, we're not addicted to our phones, it's just we have like a pattern of behaviors. And she was saying like even just having your phone next to you or in the vicinity, even though it's on do not disturb, she said you're still going to pick it up. Your brain is still aware that it's there, you're still drawn to it. So she says like if you want to get stuff done and you don't want to be distracted, it is literally having it out of sight, so in your bag or out the room. And it works. Like if my phone's there, even if it's on not on do not disturb and there's nothing flashing up, I don't have notifications on, I'm still going to grab it because it's a habit. When it's in another room, I won't think about it. Another one for me is like you kind of just mentioned it there, like if you do coaching and then go into like a work block, like today now we start at 8 a.m. and then we do this and then I'm going to do check-ins or whatever, then I'm going to train before I do another work block because that really helps me concentrate. If I try and do 8 hours of work and then go and train, the last 2 or 3 hours I'll just be finding things to do or flitting between different things rather than just focusing on one thing. So I know me and I know my brain, so I will put training in the middle of those two main work blocks and know that I'll be more.
Yeah, there's an element of like massive amount of self-awareness to this, because you could sit there and go, well, what if I can't help being distracted in regards to I've got ADHD and my thoughts are all over the place and I get easily distracted and all of that. And there's an element of, I get that completely. I really do. And that's going to be, you know how you work, Sky. I know how I work. Like, if I'm in a 2-hour work block of content, for example, or if I'm in a 2-hour work block of feedback, right? My brain, right, undiagnosed with ADHD or whatever, like, my brain is going to go to the kids, the fucking parents' evening we've got this week, the football I've got Saturday, Sunday, the planning, the programming. My brain's going to be 100 mile an hour into different things that really want to distract me. But there's an element of going, this is this for an hour, this is this for 2 hours. And I know it's really hard for some people to overcome that. But I think what you've just said is like, how best do I understand myself to get the best out of myself? I think that's just as true for me without ADHD as it is for anyone with ADHD. Do you know what I mean? Or who are easily distracted. Because we've all got 100 million things going on in our brains all the time that are easy to distract us. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. What helps and what doesn't.
Yeah.
Basically, do more of what helps and try and get rid of the things that don't.
What are your thoughts, Nick?
I agree with everything there. I think there is an element of discipline as well, like, because the amount of times I read, put my phone in another room, and then that's on again the next week, just fucking put your phone in another room.
Yeah.
There is an element of like, okay, you know what you're doing, you're not helping yourself here, so fucking go and put it in another room.
Yeah. It's a really funny habit, I think, but that's all it is. It's just you're rewiring a new habit. And I've been way stricter with like just aimless time on my phone. Like if I'm going on my phone, I'm either replying to a message or I'm looking for something specific. I try not to have like so much passive time. And honestly, it's fucking unbelievable how much time I've got back in my week because I'm not losing 10 or 15 minutes every couple of hours on my phone. And like even just in the morning, like I get up in the morning, I do not look at my phone. It's not the first thing I do. Like this morning, got up, went to the shop because we needed some fucking bread, got back in, made my breakfast, got Samson ready for school, logged on at 8 a.m. And then I'm starting to open my work WhatsApp and look at stuff like that. And just even that sets my day up so much better. So it is just, yeah, you just need to, with any habit or breaking of a habit, you need to be a bit stricter with yourself to get into that. And then once you start to feel the benefit, it's going to be easier.
Yeah, it's, to be fair, there's stuff that I need to do to get better at that stuff. But you're right.
Remember the phone in jail?
Yeah, Nick
Real, yeah.
from jail out to everyone, didn't you? I don't know whose question it is now.
Is it mine? I'll throw it out to both of you. Is it possible to grow an online coaching business without working in a gym and having access to those leads?
First, yes, and 100% it is 100%. I think actually, okay, so if it's kind of a contradiction in a way and a bit ironic because most PTs that work out of a commercial gym or a gym full of leads and hundreds of people coming through very rarely take advantage of it from an online perspective. So without having that kind of captive audience, you can absolutely, without a shadow of a doubt, can do it. You've got to be. You can't think one dimensional. And what I mean by that is just post on Instagram. You've got to know who your market is. You've got to post it using one medium like Instagram is like putting one line into the river and trying to catch a fish rather than using like a big net of like community groups, emails, local marketing, Facebook ads, Instagram. So there's so many different avenues and you've got to spread your net wider. Why? Because if you're just using something like Instagram, the attention span is tiny. And I was listening to something yesterday, it's going to do my head in who it was now. Basically, they were saying that, I think it was a sales guy or anyway, they were saying, they were talking about some research that went into sales and marketing and, the influence of social media and versus face-to-face and networking and stuff. And they were measuring like the average amount of touch time you would need for someone to then know, like, and trust you. And on average, it was about 7 hours. And so if you break that down and you're getting 3 seconds, 5 seconds worth of video views on Instagram Reels or stories, and you're posting twice a week, 3 times a week, and then expecting a return in that within the next few weeks, you're probably not going to be very successful.
Mm-hmm.
So spreading that net as wide as you can, creating that awareness as much as you can, doing that know, like, and trust, knowing your audience, I think is huge. So yes, it can, but with obvious caveats.
Next.
Wait, I've got something to add. I work online, but I think this is where people think that working online means that like you said, you just use Instagram. I still network in person. Like I'm always getting emails and I've joined all different email lists of different networking events around Manchester. Like I'm always reaching out to different companies and the people in my gym or my friends and family, I'm always asking, do you ever do webinars? Do you ever do educational days? We had like menopause month where I ended up going into Talk because one of my friends works in there, delivered a webinar. So even though you work online and your business is online, still getting in front of people and meeting people face to face, going to networking events, introducing yourself to people, talking to different companies. Like I've had clients, but I've also had, speaking gigs, I want to say there. I've done a lot of talking events through that stuff. So don't just think, okay, it's emails, it's Instagram, it's Facebook, it's LinkedIn. It still can be in person. Get out there and see what's in your area.
Next question.
Have you got it?
I don't know who it is. I've lost track now.
No, I just have the last one.
What signs are you looking for from members at a commercial gym that they may be worth talking to about personal training?
Ooh. Is this me or you?
It's you.
He's got to do some work. He's just sitting there, isn't he?
Wait a minute. And you've also missed a question there. It was a really good question, actually.
I don't think it was, but we can go back to it.
Well, it will spark a debate. Let's not go back. Who's answering this question?
Guy. I'm sick of you.
What signs are you looking for from members at a commercial gym that may be worth talking to about personal training? The obvious ones are people that you've probably never seen before. People that maybe look like they aren't that confident. They're not, you can tell someone that's got in there and they've got a program. They're walking around intentionally. There's some people that walk around a little bit more aimlessly. they're a little bit more nervous. Maybe they look like they don't know where things are. It could be people that you see quite often that are maybe doing the same thing over and over again. That might be worth having a chat with them, seeing what they're, working towards, what they're doing. To be honest, like for me, most people in a commercial gym are worth talking about personal training to, whether they're competent or they're new or not. So I never targeted people in particular. If they were in the gym in the times when I was lead gen and talking, or if I was on shift even, I was just talking to absolutely everybody. Because just because they have been going to the gym for 5 years doesn't mean that they might not want some extra support, a bit of a different style of training. So I would say just try and talk to as many people as possible. But if you want signs, it's probably the people that don't look that confident or maybe look super new.
Agree.
I think we're asking the wrong question. I think when you are wondering whether someone's worth talking to about PT, I think you might be framing it wrong. Like you said there, like actually reframing that in regards to, well, who can I help in the gym? Who can I get to know? And I think it's a little thing that is, but just by that question, if you're then measuring the success of trying to second guess whether someone can have PT or not, you're probably going to set yourself up for a little bit of disappointment. So, yeah, I think reframing that as well might be handy for the future. Well, I used to do that when I used to work on cruise ships. Right, we used to do embarkations, so we used to tour people around the gym and get bookings and sign up for webinars and stuff like that. And honestly, you couldn't help it because you had a sales target of 10 grand in 7 days. It was a really, really high pressure environment. But you looked at jewelry, you looked at clothes, you looked at labels, you did. And the biggest lesson I learned from that time was it's always the people who don't wear the labels and the rings and the watches and the clothes and the biggest conversions and packages I sold were people who didn't have any of that. Very down to earth, very chilled. So yeah. Is it my question? Is it your question, Anthony? You just messed
Only
it
one question left. Do you know what question we missed? Should powerlifting be allowed in the Olympics? Yes. There you go. In my
Yeah.
listen, the only opinion I think any sports like that either get any funding or anything like that should be allowed to have a platform to be able to be shown off. Apart from breakdown. No, actually, do we give it a no? I don't know because that's opinionated, isn't it? Yeah. Physique bodybuilding should never be in the Olympics. Like that's something that needs to go in the bin. It's not even a sport. All right. So yeah, it's fucking shite. No disrespect.
He said it for that reason.
But powerlifting, yes. All right. On that note, we'll end.